Now on DVD comes every child's beloved friend, Barney.
Howdy, buckaroos!
Discover the imagination, music, adventure, and learning in these all-new DVDs.
We're going to have so much fun!
Enter the magical world of fairy tales in Barney, Once Upon a Dino Tale, where your imagination can run wild.
And when you share, you show you care for your friends.
Yes, you do.
Have fun with Barney Sing and Dance with bonus music CD.
Oh, boy. Oh, I think this is a great idea.
Coming to DVD is Barney's Jungle Friends, an all-new movie. Explore amazing jungle animals and listen to 17 songs in this Barney and Friends DVD and music CD.
So this is a rainforest.
And share your love of learning, books, and movies in Barney Book Fair with a full-length storybook included.
Books are fun. Books are great. Let's sit down with a book today.
All with your best friend Barney, where you can learn, play, laugh, and share with Barney and all his friends. So come along and don't miss out. Barney and Friends. Look for them on DVD.
Take home exciting building adventures in all new DVDs.
A new day is dawning for Bob and the crew. They hardly can wait to get the job done for you. In Sunflower Valley and Fixham Harbor too. Just call, they'll be ready and know what to do. Hey, 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 Bob the Builder. Oh, hey, 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 can he build it? Yes, he can. Ready, steady, ready, steady, build. Scrambler, locked and rolling, dizzy. Ready, steady, build. Ready, steady, build. Scoop and muck and scratch, get busy. Ready, steady, build. Oh, ready, steady, build. Scrambler, locked and rolling, dizzy. Ready, steady, build. Ready, steady,
Look for Bob the Builder, only on DVD.
See and hear Thomas like never before in his biggest movie ever, Hero of the Rails, the movie.
I found the oldest engine on Sodor.
It's a story of adventure and new friends.
We must help Hero at once.
In an all-new movie like you've never seen before.
You've come to the right place, my friend.
Thomas and Friends, Hero of the Rails, the movie. Now available only on DVD.
Hi, I'm Angelina, Ballerina, and I really, truly love to dance.
Great job, Angelina. Your hard work has really paid off. You get a 10.
Oh, thanks, Carrie-Anne.
What inspired this routine?
My dreams of becoming a prima ballerina.
Well, you're on your way to becoming a star. Keep up the good work.
Get up, get down, just dance with the Dizzy Feet Foundation and Angelina Ballerina.
For your convenience, this DVD has been enhanced with Hit Entertainment's autoplay. Your program will begin automatically. To bypass autoplay, select the main menu button at any time. Your feature presentation will begin in a moment. Enjoy.
Thomas and Friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Percy was spending the night at the shed at the big station. He was due to take trucks back to Thomas's branch line the next morning, and the bigger engines were glad to see him.
Well, well, little Percy,
said Gordon grandly.
It's nice to have you with us for a change. I trust you, Thomas, and Toby are running that branch line of yours efficiently.
I think so, Gordon, Percy replied, though he wasn't quite sure what efficiently meant.
That's right, rumbled the big engine. No late trains or angry passengers. An efficient railway is a great responsibility, as I, of course, know only too well. What the Fat Controller would do without me to keep things running smoothly, I can't imagine. Henry and James do their best, but someone has to keep a responsible eye on things.
It must be splendid to race along with a train of heavy coaches, sighed Percy enviously. When you were ill that time, it took Thomas, Duck and me to move them, and then the three of us couldn't go very fast.
Never mind, said Gordon. You kept things running. That's what matters. It's a knack, I suppose. My big wheels help, but there's more to it than that, of course.
Next morning, Gordon had steam up before Percy. Percy needed water, but because he hadn't enough steam to move, Gordon offered to push him to the water cooler. Thank you, Gordon, said Percy gratefully. That would be very kind.
Not at all, Gordon said proudly. It all helps with the smooth running of the railway. Responsibilities, my dear Percy. Responsibilities.
Percy had a long drink. Soon, his steam pressure had risen nicely, and he was ready to go and find his trucks. Gordon, meanwhile, hadn't returned to the shed. He dozed in the sun until it was his turn to take water. Percy moved away. Gordon tried to follow him, but he found he couldn't.
Come on, Gordon, said his driver. We haven't got all day. Your train is due out in an hour. I can't move, Gordon groaned furiously. I've got cramp. I can't move my pistons.
Percy's driver came to see what was the matter.
Jammed valves, I reckon,
groaned Gordon's driver. The fireman went to find an inspector, and Percy buffered up gently to Gordon's front. Puffing hard, he managed to push Gordon back into the shed, and then went quietly to fetch his trucks. He didn't say anything. Somehow it didn't seem tactful. Later, when Percy met Thomas at the junction, he told him what had happened.
Poor old Gordon,
chuckled Thomas. But that's what it is to have responsibilities. And the two engines puffed off to run the branch line as efficiently as they knew how.
Whenever an engine needs maintenance or cleaning, there's a special board that must be placed on the lamp iron which reads, "Not to be moved." As the name suggests, when this is in place, the engine is forbidden from moving from its current spot until it is removed by the same person who put it there. Recently, a new cleaner had started at the sheds. He was young and eager to make a good impression. He was thrilled then, when one day he was tasked with cleaning Gordon. He placed the board on his lamp iron and started scrubbing and polishing until Gordon looked cleaner than he had in years. Gordon was most impressed. "This certainly puts your paint to shame," he called out to James. James just ignored him and set off for work. Later, a group of workmen were heading into the nearby town for breakfast and invited the cleaner to join them. He quickly packed his tools away, and they all set off for the cafe. It was soon time for Gordon to leave. His crew climbed on board. The driver blew the whistle and was about to open the regulator when the fireman cried out, "No, wait! The board's still on!" Gordon looked to his left, and sure enough, there was the board still on his lamp iron. The crew looked all around, but they couldn't spot the cleaner anywhere. "Go and find him quickly," cried the driver. "He's the only one allowed to take it off." The fireman wasted no time, but had little luck. He searched all around the yard, in every office and in every tool shed. He was about to give up when he saw the cleaner returning with the workmen. He ran over and marched him straight towards Gordon. He was most apologetic and quickly took the board off. But by then, Gordon was already running late. He screeched into the station and banged into his train. Hurry up, he bellowed to the passengers. The guard's whistle blew, and Gordon started so quickly, his wheels could barely grip the rails. His bad luck worsened as he tried to make up for lost time. Every signal seemed to be against him, and had to wait for other trains to clear his line. But finally, he arrived at the other railway, an hour late. Gordon's boiler pressure had never been higher. "Incompetence!" he bellowed at the sheds that night. "How on earth did he find a job here? Oh, they'll hire just any dim-witted." "Oh, be quiet," cut in Henry. "It's his first week here. It's not like you've never made a mistake." "Mistake? Mistake? Henry, this was pure idiocy. He shouldn't have been anywhere near a railway. Never mind near engines." The other engines all stayed silent. They knew it was better to just let Gordon get it out of his system and let him rant himself to sleep. But by morning, he was still fuming. "Try to be on time today," chortled James. Gordon's face went bright red with rage. "Oh, that's a nice color. That really does put my paint to shame." And he ran off laughing before Gordon could reply. Soon, the cleaner walked over to Gordon and placed the board on his lamp iron. I wanted to apologize again for yesterday. The foreman's asked me to." His voice trailed off as he saw Gordon glaring back at him. He wasn't sure, but he swore he could see fire in Gordon's eyes. I'll leave you to it." And he walked away as quickly as he could. Gordon was soon due to leave, but the board was still in place, and the cleaner was nowhere to be found. "He's done it again," cried the driver. "Go try the cafe quickly." "There's no time for that," snapped Gordon. "I refuse to be late a second time. Now just take this thing off and we can leave." The crew looked at each other and gave in. The fireman took the board away, and Gordon charged towards the station. When he arrived, he backed down onto his train with a loud clang. "Get in, come on!" he shouted at the passengers. The driver, however, looked back. He thought he could hear a quiet wailing sound coming from underneath the tender. He and the fireman climbed down and peered underneath. To their horror, they found the cleaner, holding onto Gordon's tender frames for dear life. "Get him out!" cried the fireman. They quickly pulled him out, and by a miracle, he hadn't been hurt. "How on earth did you get there?" asked the driver. But the cleaner was too shaken to talk, so the station master escorted him into his office and phoned for an ambulance. Gordon, meanwhile, was completely pale and didn't speak a word for the rest of the day until... "Gordon!" boomed a familiar voice. Gordon's boiler went cold as walking towards him was Sir Topham Hatt.
"Hello, sir. Lovely evening. Spare me the pleasantries, for I have none for you."
Gordon gulped, and the fat controller took a deep breath, trying to compose himself.
"What happened today?" "Well, sir, that cleaner, yes, the cleaner, forgot to tell us what he was doing, and did he place a not-to-be-moved board on your lamp iron?" "Yes, sir." "And was he the one that removed it?" "No, but I've heard enough. The cleaner told me he was tending to your tender brakes when you set off. He's extremely lucky to not have been hurt."
Gordon looked down at his buffers.
"Tell me,
Why do you think he's the one who has to remove the board?
So things like this don't happen?
Stammered Gordon. Precisely! He turned away from trying to calm himself, and then looked back. I can no longer trust you to work on the main line. I take safety matters very seriously. You will stay in the shed until you can say the same. He walked over to Gordon and placed something on his lamp iron. Perhaps this might help you learn. Gordon looked up, and there sat a board that read, "Not to be moved."
Thomas is ready to leave the station. He is tingling with excitement. What's Thomas pulling today? Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears. Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears and teacups. Now Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears, teacups, and tablecloths. Can you remember what Thomas is tugging? Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears, teacups, and tablecloths. I wonder what's next. Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears, teacups, tablecloths, and a teapot. Can you remember all the things that Thomas was tugging? Let's see. Thomas trundles out of the station tugging teddy bears, teacups, tablecloths, and a teapot. Can you guess where Thomas is going? Thomas is trundling to a teddy bear's tea party.
Summer had dawned upon the island of Sodor, and many children had been let off from school for the summer break. They would often come to the railway and travel on passenger trains. While all passenger trains are important, some engines tend to avoid the more rambunctious passengers. James is one of them. He had a rough time with excited children and would always return to the sheds quite worn out. "Another exciting day?" asked Thomas cheekily. "Don't get me started," replied James. He didn't want any more excitement that night. "I suppose," called out Gordon, "I should be left with pulling dignified passenger trains, like the Express. And you could be put on daycare duties." James said nothing, rolling back into the shed to catch some shut-eye. The next morning, James was on Knapford Station with his trucks when the station master appeared. "The band's music bus is broken down, James," explained the station master. "They need a ride to the next station. They'll have to practice their piece for tonight's concert, so it will be noisy. Can we count on you?" "Of course you can," called out his driver. But James was not so happy with the sudden arrangement. After coupling a coach to his train, the band boarded with their instruments and the guard blew its whistle. Shortly after leaving Knapford, the band began practicing their music. Much to James' surprise, the music wasn't noisy at all. It was smooth and a piece to the ear. "No rough travels," reminded his driver. James made sure to make it a smooth ride, as well as the trucks who were also lost in the music. They soon arrived at the next station, where the band got off and thanked James. Later that night, James was surprised to see the band back at the sheds with Sir Topham Hatt.
You were a splendid engine today, James. I brought these gentlemen here to give you a surprise.
We hadn't named the piece yet, explained the leader of the band. But let's say your trip gave us an idea. James beamed when he heard the name of the musical piece. They then began performing the same song they had practiced before. The musical piece known as the Red Splendid Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine had had a very busy day. As well as his usual passenger runs, he'd taken children on an outing and helped deliver parcels for Tom Tipper when the post van broke down. It had been hard work, and he had to hurry to get everything done in good time. By the time he got back to the shed that night, he was exhausted. Edward could see how tired Thomas looked. If you didn't rush around so much, you could manage much better, Thomas. Rushing around gets engines into scrapes. You'll still manage to get the work done if you slow down, and better still, you wouldn't be so exhausted at the end of a day. Thomas didn't want to listen to Edward. Going fast is fun. I know you're trying to be kind, Edward, but you don't always know what's best. Going fast can be fun, agreed Edward, but sometimes it can lead to trouble. Stuff and nonsense, said Thomas cheekily, and went to sleep instead. But the next morning, Thomas still felt tired when his driver came to start work. As he set out on the branch line with Annie and Clarabelle, the two coaches seemed heavier than usual. He had to puff as hard as he could when climbing over the hill before the airfield station, and by the time he rolled over the top, he was almost out of puff. Maybe Edward was right, Thomas wheezed, and slowed down just a little bit for the rest of the journey. No one seemed to notice, and Thomas still finished his journey right on time. He was pleased. On the return journey to the junction, Thomas continued at the same pace, and he found himself enjoying his run even more. He whistled to people at fences, smiled at the birds in the sky, and even found time to say hello to some cows in the field beside the line. This is lovely, he thought to himself. Then there was trouble. Up ahead at the level crossing, a lorry was stuck on the line. One of its wheels had come off, and the vegetables it was taking to market were everywhere. Thomas had to stop before he collided with it. He braked as hard as he could. His brakes squealed as he went slower and slower, but the lorry got closer and closer. "Oh, my wheels and coupling rods!" cried Thomas. "I have to stop!" With one last big effort, Thomas came to a halt just in front of the lorry. "Well done, Thomas!" cheered the driver. "You stopped just in time. What a clever engine you are!" The lorry driver thought so too. "If you hadn't stopped in time, there could have been a very nasty accident." The passengers leaned out of the windows, cheering and clapping for Thomas. He felt very proud of himself, and it was all because he'd listened to Edward. That night, Thomas apologized. "I'm sorry I was cheeky, Edward. You were right. I enjoyed going a bit slower today, and better still, if I had gone any faster, I might have hit that lorry." "Well, I'm glad you didn't," said Edward. "Sir Topham Hatt says you were a real hero." "And I learned another lesson today, too," finished Thomas. "You do know best, Edward."
Just remember not to worry or get down. easy to find. No matter how improbable, you won't know until you try. You can do whatever you choose, it just takes a little luck. So remember, never, never, never give up. Never, never, never give up, even though the going is tough. Don't stop trying when you're tiring and you're out of hope. Never, never, never give up, even though you're feeling rough. And if at first you don't succeed, never, never, never give up. Never, never, never give up.
Thomas, Toby, and James need to collect their loads, but they don't know which load they will be pulling. There's a truck full of coal, there's a carriage for pulling passengers, and there's some crates full of bananas. Let's help the engines find out what they will be pulling today. Can you guess which truck Toby will be pulling? Let's find out. The track is very twisty. Toby chuffs around the corners. I wonder what Toby will be pulling today. It looks like the coal truck. Toby's taking coal today. Who's next? James. Which truck will James be pulling? James is chuffing and puffing, twisting and turning. Can you guess which truck James will be pulling? James has got the carriage. He must be pulling passengers today. Now it's Thomas's turn. You can guess which truck Thomas is going to pull, can't you? Here he goes. Nearly there? Yes, that's right. Thomas is taking the bananas. All the engines have found their trucks. Well done, Toby. Well done, James. And well done, Thomas.
Percy's passengers. Percy was talking to James in the shed at the big station.
My conductor was telling me how lonely he gets in his van. I think he ought to take some passengers sometimes. It might cheer him up.
He's not allowed to do that, said James virtuously. It's against regulations. Conductors are important, and passengers might distract them so that they couldn't look after the train properly.
Oh dear. Yes, I suppose they might.
They can do it on the Midland, put in Gordon. Someone told me about it when I went to Carlisle with that special. But they don't do it on the other railway. It's on some preserved line where they haven't got any coaches.
You see, James?
Said Percy triumphantly. Oh, well, if they haven't any coaches, that's different, James huffed. I'm sure Sir Topham Hatt wouldn't approve, though.
Huh,
replied Percy cheekily.
Little you know.
He puffed away to collect some trucks from the harbor. Meanwhile, on the branch line, some passengers got out of Henrietta at the station by the airfield. They all went through the ticket barrier, except for two, a man and a woman. Ah, said the ticket inspector when he looked at their tickets. You've come too far. You should have got out at the last station. The passengers looked at him. Then they looked at each other and shook their heads. The last station, the ticket inspector repeated slowly. You must go back there. There was a pause. Then the man said something to his wife in a language the ticket inspector didn't understand. He asked the porter to bring the station master. A short time later, Percy came chuntering happily along the branch line with his train of freight cars from the harbor. He saw the signal at the station by the airfield set at danger, and the station master waiting for him on the platform.
Oh dear, there must have been an accident,
he thought as he stopped.
I hope no one's hurt.
The station master came over with the 2 passengers. I'm giving the conductor these 2 passengers to travel in his van, he told Percy. They're foreigners who came too far on Toby's train by mistake. Will you stop at the station by the river and let them off, please? Percy was confused. Passengers? He asked when the conductor had taken them away.
But this is a freight train.
That's right, Percy, said the station master. They're going to travel with the conductor in his van.
But James says it's against it's not allowed.
The station master laughed. Oh, James is right, Percy, but I don't think James or Sir Topham Hatt would mind us helping 2 foreign visitors on our island who can't understand our language. Do you? That made it all right, of course. The guard saw that his visitors were as comfortable as he could make them in his van. And when, a few minutes later, they reached the station they wanted, they came to the front of the train to see Percy. They nodded and smiled and shook hands with the driver and fireman. Then the conductor showed them to a taxi, which was waiting to take them on the rest of their journey. A few weeks later, a parcel arrived with brightly colored foreign stamps on the wrapping. Inside were warm new scarves and gloves for Percy's driver, fireman, and conductor, and a letter addressed to Sir Topham Hatt saying how splendid his railway was. Percy was proud, but he didn't tell James.
It might make him jealous, he said to himself, and that would never do.
Summer on the island of Sodor can be very hot. The children need to cool down at their party. Sir Topham Hatt tells Thomas to collect something to cool the children down. Thomas wants to help the children. But Sir Topham Hatt didn't tell him what to collect. What should Thomas collect to cool the children down? What about these coal cars? No, coal is used for making fires to keep you warm. The children are already warm. What else can Thomas take to help the children cool down? What about woolly hats and scarves? No, woolly hats and scarves keep you warm. The children want to cool down. Is there anything else Thomas can take to help the children cool down? What about ice cream? Yes, ice cream will keep the children cool. 2 whole cars full of fresh, cool ice cream. Now the children will be able to enjoy their party. Well done, Thomas. Thomas has a busy day today. He has to take 3 different loads to 3 different parties. He has a freight car full of fireworks, a car full of pumpkins, and a car with a big cake and lots of candles. First, Thomas has to take something to the children's birthday party. What about the freight car full of pumpkins? Are pumpkins right for a birthday party? No. Thomas doesn't think pumpkins are right for a birthday party. What about the big cake with all those candles? Yes. A birthday cake with lots of candles is just right for a birthday party. Next, Thomas has to take something to a Halloween party. What about fireworks? Are fireworks right for a Halloween party? No. Thomas doesn't think fireworks are right. What about pumpkins? Yes. Pumpkins make jack-o'-lanterns. Pumpkins are just right for a Halloween party. Last of all, Thomas has to take something to the firework party. There's only one freight car left, and it's full of fireworks. Fireworks are just right for a firework party. Thomas has taken everything to the right party. Well done, Thomas.
James was cross. The fat controller had sent him to collect Welsh coal for Henry. He grumbled as the trucks bounced about behind him.
This is not fair. I have to cover Henry's trains when he's sick. And now I'm his errand boy? Ridiculous.
When the Welsh coal arrived, Henry was delighted. He'd never felt so well in his life. The fat controller had signs placed near the coal bunker, which read, "Special Welsh coal, for Henry only." The other engines understood and respected this, all except James.
Look at him swanking about,
James complained to Edward.
I fetched it for him. And I don't even get a thank you.
I'm sure it's appreciated, Edward smiled. I must admit that coal has done wonders for Henry. Imagine what it might do for us. Edward meant this in jest, but James smirked. I wonder. Get that idea out of your smoke box, frowned Edward. You know full well not to take that coal. Poor Henry has suffered enough. He doesn't need you pilfering the one thing that's making him better. James said nothing more, but he began scheming. Over the next few days, James pestered his crew about the coal. But no matter how he asked, the answer was always no. But James was persistent and wouldn't relent. He's insufferable, grumbled the driver. Perhaps we should just give him some. You know we can't, sighed the fireman. Then an idea struck him. Unless... The fireman smirked and whispered his idea to the driver. The next morning, James' crew came early to the sheds. He was surprised to see them. You know, old boy, whispered the driver, you're right. You do deserve some of Henry's coal. Let's hurry to the bunker, but keep quiet. We'll be loaded up and away before anyone notices. James was giddy, but did his best to contain his excitement. James backed down to the coal bunkers. He couldn't see what his fireman was doing, but didn't give it a second thought as he sizzled happily. I'll show them, he thought cheekily. What James didn't know was that his fireman was shoveling regular coal into his tender. James had forgotten that the regular coal bunker was right next to Henry's. Soon the fireman was finished. Right, James, he said. Off we go. James puffed away as quickly and quietly as he could. He arrived at the big station, full of pride. He had plenty of steam, and was so early that his train wasn't ready. Never mind, he scoffed. I'm so strong, I'll have this sorted in no time. James set to work, smoothly shunting the trucks in line. The trucks were surprised, but didn't want to jeopardize the newfound respect they were receiving. Soon, all was ready, and the guard blew his whistle. Here we go, James chortled. The trucks couldn't have held back if they wanted to. James took off like a rocket. James sped down the line. Hillsides and houses were a blur, and children pointed in amazement as he passed. Perhaps this wasn't such a good plan, remarked the fireman. The driver, trying to keep his balance, said nothing. James was early at every station, made no fuss about shunting, and seemed to leave as quickly as he came. Every passenger was quite surprised. By the end of the afternoon, James arrived back at the big station. He was sizzling in a siding, feeling very pleased with himself. Could it be better, he smirked. Why waste that special coal on an engine like Henry, when I make much better use of it? I beg your pardon? James gulped. Walking towards him was the fat controller. I had come to congratulate you on your fine work today, he rumbled. But it appears we have another matter to address. As far as I'm aware, continued the fat controller, only Henry is permitted to use that coal. Now tell me, is your name Henry? No, sir. Then why did you take that coal? At that moment, James's crew appeared. Pardon me, sir, said the fireman, but you've got it all wrong. By the time he had explained the trick, James was aghast. So all day I've been using regular coal? The driver, fireman, and even the fat controller burst out laughing. James's face became as red as his paint. Well, James, said the fat controller, I must apologize for my previous assumption. You indeed did a splendid job today. I'll have you know hard work does not go unappreciated on my railway. He paused, and James grinned in anticipation. As such, he continued, you will continue with goods work for the remainder of the week. James was speechless. Now that we know what you're really capable of, it should prove no challenge for you. Besides, finished the fat controller, I'm sure it would dissuade you from any further schemes on taking Henry's coal. Won't it, James? James did stay on goods work, and he hated it. But he wasn't about to disappoint the fat controller. He worked hard all week, and was thankful when it was over. He was going back to the sheds when he saw Henry and Percy at the coal bunker. You know, Henry, giggled Percy, this coal makes me feel stronger than ever. Sounds to me like you've taken James's special coal, laughed Henry. James said nothing. He just sulked in the shed.
Percy in a Muddle. Percy was feeling bored. Things have been too quiet around here lately, he told himself. What we need is something to liven things up. All the engines know from experience that whenever Percy is bored, that's when he starts feeling mischievous. That day, Percy was to bring Gordon's coaches to the platform in time for his next express train, but on his way to the carriage sidings, Percy suddenly had an idea. He giggled to himself. Then, ignoring the coaches, he hurried away to the sheds. Gordon was resting there when Percy arrived. Beep, beep! There you are, Gordon. The fat controller said you're to stay in the shed. He wants to talk to you about something important. Gordon snorted. Oh, no, you don't. That's the oldest trick in the book. You know my next train is due shortly. No, it isn't, said Percy. Henry has taken the express already. It was a last-minute change of plan. Pah! Nonsense, snorted Gordon, and he puffed grandly towards the station. But when Gordon arrived, he was surprised not to find his coaches waiting for him. That's funny, he muttered. They ought to be here. Oh, perhaps Percy was telling the truth after all. His driver wasn't so sure. If Henry has taken the express, then why are all those people waiting on the platform? That's what I'd like to know, fumed the station master. Where in the world are your coaches, Gordon? Gordon tried to explain about Percy, but the station master wouldn't listen. By this time, Percy was nowhere to be seen, so Gordon was forced to fetch his own train. When he was able to leave, the express was late, and the passengers were cross. When Gordon met Percy again later that day, he was fuming. So, Gordon, grinned Percy, did he talk to the Fat Controller then? No, I was too busy trying to find my coaches. Sorry about that, Gordon. It was only a bit of fun. You should try it yourself some day. Then you wouldn't look so grumpy. And Percy puffed away, giggling. Gordon was about to reply, then stopped. Yes, he murmured. I think I will. That night, Gordon was due to pull his evening train. He won't be back until much later. Usually, it was the only time when Gordon had to shunt his own coaches to be cleaned and used for another train the following morning. But tonight, he had a plan. Before he left, he spoke to his driver and the yard manager. Then he puffed away with a big smile on his smokebox. The next morning, the firelighter lit Percy's fire first, so that he could arrange the big engines as trains. As he left the shed, he saw Gordon resting in a siding, and he remembered the trick he had played on him yesterday. What a clever trick! What a clever trick! He puffed quietly. But when Percy reached the yard, he got a big surprise. The yard was in an awful muddle. All the trucks and coaches were in the wrong places. Footplates and funnels! Exclaimed Percy. What happened? This wasn't how I left things yesterday. We better get this sorted out, and quick, said the driver. Otherwise it'll be chaos before the morning rush. Percy worked as quickly as he could, putting everything right again. He just couldn't understand how everything had become so muddled. By the time he brought the express coaches to the platform, the passengers were already waiting. And so was Gordon. Morning, Percy, said Gordon cheerfully. What kept you? What kept me? I've been trying to organise the yard. Everything was all wrong. I couldn't find anything. Oh dear, it must have been my fault. I might have moved one or two things about when I came back last night. Sorry about that. Gordon paused, and then added, But, after all, you did say that I should have a little bit of fun. You don't mind, do you? Percy snorted. Oh, no. Of course I don't mind, he said casually. Unfortunately, the Fat Controller did mind when he heard all about it. After speaking to Gordon and Percy, both engines thought twice about playing any more tricks for a while.
The